Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of On Point Live right here from the CRN studios in Los Angeles. Hi, I'm Vince Ferragamo, former Los Angeles Rams Super Bowl quarterback, and alongside me is my former teammate, NFL legend, and Hall of Famer, Jackie Slater. And Jackie, you know, we're without our buddy today, Michael Horn.
We're without Mike, but you know, I got to tell you something. I like that introduction that you just gave me.
The Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I like that. You know, Michael.
Energizer Bunny.
Yeah, Michael, the heck with the Energizer Bunny. I like that part. Keep it up, Vince. You're doing a good job.
You know, Jackie, we're just finishing up the preseason in the NFL, and I have one pet peeve, and that is the female broadcasters that broadcast football.
Yes.
And I'm not saying that they're bad, okay, but it's just, to me, it's there's no credibility when you hear the announcer is talking about the quarterback and is thinking and feeling like he does. That's like a female urologist telling you that she knows what you're going through, okay?
Wait a minute, Vinny. Wait a minute.
Where's the credibility?
Listen, I can relate to what you're saying, and I have watched a lot of lady commentators, and I am amazed at their knowledge and how they have really, committed themselves to learning the game so that they can communicate with the hardcore football fans. But then on occasion, when you hear a young lady make a statement that, he was thinking this or he was thinking that, or simply because of this and that, that's when that problem manifests itself, because you're thinking to yourself, there's absolutely no way you've ever been in this situation to have any understanding as to what he was thinking in that situation. So I understand what you're saying, but it's kind of fun to have lady commentators, and I think they attract more women to the sport, and I think we're seeing the growth of a whole lot of women being very interested in some of the really technical aspects of pro football.
For sure, even a sideline reporter would be perfect for that kind of position, Jackie. But you know what? It's football, and everything. It appeals to everybody.
Right.
So we want to remind our viewers to visit us on our website at onpointlive.net. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, On Point Live with Vince and Jackie, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at on.point.live. Hey, our major sponsor, Jackie, the greatest cheese in the world, right?
Greatest in the world.
Harmony Cheese. Go to the website. You can find all the different varieties. harmonycheese.com. And then listen, if you have to email us, we have a bunch of contests. Please email us at onpoint@crntalk.com. Right here on Point Live. We'll be right back with a lot of news from the NFL starting up soon. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back to On Point Live. We're just getting ready, both Jackie and I, to talk about the NFL preseason. But we have some important videos to share with you this afternoon, because I'm telling you, Jackie, you went to one of the Rams camp, and one of the major topics was how do they develop their offensive line and get a couple more good players. They got Alaric Jackson. Okay, they signed him in the offseason, but you had a chance to visit with him at preseason. And we've got a couple shots of that. Tell us a little bit what your reflections were.
As I said to you and as I said to our audience a few weeks ago, one of my main concerns this offseason was the signing of this young man right here, Alaric Jackson. He has come a long way. He has proven to be a core, solid, top-rated offensive left tackle, blindside protector in the National Football League. He has the task of protecting one of the best quarterbacks in all of pro football, Matthew Stafford, and I was really concerned about him being re-signed because there were some other teams courting him. Now, unfortunately, and this pains me. Unfortunately, he has been dealing with a blood clot situation that has kept him out of practice, Vance. Mm-hmm. And here is a guy, in my opinion, that has the potential to put together what we would consider a Hall of Fame type of career if he were to stay healthy. Now, Vince, I know you know a little bit more about it than me. He's having blood clot issues. Now, my understanding of blood clots is that it is not just something you smile at and that you go through the motions hoping it's going to get better. You have to be aggressive, proactive into putting this young man in an environment whereas he can't be hurt. My understanding is that the lack of blood coagulation when you get bruised, which could happen on any given play that you take a deep contusion to any part of your body, if that is not happening properly the way it was set up, God meant for it to be, then you are in harm's way. Can you help me understand that a little bit more, Vince?
Well, I think the condition that's alarming here, Jackie, it's a recurring medical condition that he's had this occurrence a couple years ago. And it's something that you're either born with, it's hereditary, it's just within your body. But when you get hit or you have a bleeding of some sort, the blood coagulates, but in the proper way, because the liver produces proteins that help you coagulate the blood. But in some cases, if this coagulation turns into a blood clot, it could be devastating. It could be an alarming factor. And so this can happen any place in the body. So it's a thrombosis that does happen, and it can travel. And so if it's through the venous supply, maybe not quite as dangerous as it is if it hits the artery. So if it goes to the heart, it can be a cardiac arrest. If it goes to the brain, it could become a stroke of some sort. It can go to the lungs, can have some lung issues. So there's a lot of problems Vince, that can result.
I'm going to interrupt you. I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. Because the last time I heard this type of conversation, it was by a medical doctor. And I happen to know you, and I've known you so long, you as a friend of mine, and you don't talk about this very much, but I happen to know that you were a pre-med student, and I also happen to know that your daughter is one of the best pediatricians in Orange County, Vanessa. So what you're saying to me is that if I have a problem with the coagulation of my blood, clotting to prevent me from actually bleeding out or bleeding to death, if that's done improperly, if that's not functioning right, then those clots can travel through my system and end up in my heart, my lung, and
brain,
and end up being a fatal situation.
It can be.
So in that particular case, the Rams have done a fantastic job of keeping this guy out of practice. I saw him when I went out there doing some things with no pads and taking a pad set and all that, but I didn't. And I hear he has never put on pads and practice in pads. So, in your opinion, Vince, what are we looking at here? Are they going to take the risk? Is it risky for him to actually go and play football right now with them not knowing exactly how he's going to react to it? Because he had this problem in 2022 that came up.
You have to take into account all the precautions, Jackie. And, even if you look healthy, you're gonna absorb hits. You're going to have bleeding. That's going to arise in football. It's just the nature of the game. It's a physical game. And so what's the scary part about it is if it resurfaces, if it reoccurs again, at what level is it going to reoccur? Can I take enough medical treatments that may put it off or subside the fact that I'm going to get a clotting? So these are all issues that player safety is at the foremost here. And you just look at it and you just wonder, how do you qualify somebody like that to go out and play at this rigorous game at that intensity and have a pre-occurring condition while you let them play? So, I know Alaric Jackson wants to play in the worst way.
I know he wants to play. I know Matthew Stafford wants him in the lineup.
Sure.
But we're talking life and death situation here.
It could result something as severe as that.
I saw where Sean McVay was paying
optimistic.
He was paying a lot of tribute to the medical staff and all the work that they've done to make sure that this young man is taken care of, and he's being handled with kid gloves every step of the way. They haven't put any pressure on him whatsoever. And just the thought of not knowing, it seemed like it would kind of paralyze the whole process of getting him ready to play football, because he hasn't practiced in pads. He hasn't hit anyone. He hasn't sustained a deep contusion or bruise in his arm that would force his body to do the coagulation and then go through it, work through it. So for me, I just got mixed feelings about it. I know that this guy is a great football player. I know he's going to make a difference if he's on the field, and there will be a major fall off if he's not. But I don't want to see him jeopardize his health. I really don't.
Right, and it's a fundamental aspect of football is the protection aspect, and he certainly would be a big help to that offensive line, Jackie. But, you mentioned one fact that he didn't play in the preseason. There's been a lot of players, and Sean McVay is one of the few coaches that have come out and supported the fact that I'm going to rest my starters and not play. But you and I both agree that getting in game shape and play shape form is very important, whether it is a limited amount of plays, but you have to get on the field and participate. Especially, I know as a quarterback, I think it's very important. And we see a lot of quarterbacks who have been top named quarterbacks in the league are playing in the preseason. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, okay, they're playing. So I think that that is a mark of maybe a team in preparation. And then, some of the big winners, I think, this preseason, Jackie, have to be some of these clubs like the Chiefs. The Giants have played well in preseason, the Texans, the Ravens. But, Jackie, I have one question to ask you. Maybe we can get into it here because we're still recovering from the preseason. It's not the same as regular season. But there was 4 teams that went undefeated. Okay, the Ravens, the Broncos in the AFC. Okay, the Giants and the Bears. Okay, what effect does that have any bearing on what's going to happen in the regular season with these teams?
Well, Vince, a lot of people would say no. They would say the preseason and the regular season are 2 entirely different entities. It's primarily because you are playing guys in some cases that will not make the team, and you know that going into training camp. But for me, and over the period of time that I played this great game that we love, I always felt like the kind of momentum that you wanted to grow and build and have came from how you conducted yourself in the preseason when the games didn't matter. You see, football character, in my opinion, is critical when you get into the regular season. The guys with great football character, the teams with great football character, they want to win at their positions all the time. And if everybody is doing that at their individual positions, then the collective is going to be the kind of effort that you want to have in the preseason, and then it'll carry over to the regular season.
Well, we're going to get more into these winners and losers, Jackie, in the preseason as they prepare for the regular season coming up here. But we want to remind all our viewers, too, to watch us every week and listen to us on CRN Radio. We're on different stations on Tuesdays from 4 to 5 Pacific Standard Time, 8 to 9 on Tuesdays. CRN Radio Wednesdays 11 to 12, Saturdays from 8 to 9, Sundays from 6 to 7. So we're on multiple times, and then also our radio station KABC will also cover our show. So we're here. We'll be right back with more on the NFL. Well, welcome back to On Point Live with Vince and Jackie. Here we are talking about the preseason in the NFL. And Jackie, you had a chance to go to one of the practices that the Rams had, and they conducted at the college there. And tell us a little bit about the Legends community and how much fun that was.
It was so much fun, Vince, and many of our teammates were there. We went there and we signed some autographs. A lot of the kids from the community came out. You can see me and George Andrews there, and take a look at this picture here, Vince. I mean, there's
guys in the middle there. That's Rosie Greer, isn't
just
it?
about all these guys I played with. You got Pat Thomas on the far right, Rod Perry in the far left. Those guys were our starting 2 corners in Super Bowl 14, and you got right in the middle Rosie Greer, who was the oldest living Los Angeles former Ram, and he's 93 years old. Harold Jackson right behind him, Ivory Sully, and then there's Torrey Holt back there, and myself. We had a fantastic time. Right here, you can see Johnny Johnson from left to right. Johnny Johnson, George Andrews, Rob Perry, myself.
What
George has turned into old Chris Kringle. Look at that. Look at old Chris Kringle right there. And then there's your old target right there in the white shirt, Preston Denard. And, of course, Pat Thomas, the cornerback from Texas A&M. He was a fantastic roommate and teammate. But we came to the team the same year. It was just so much fun, man. And this is why I champion the causes of most NFL teams as they try to keep those guys together. When we come back, you know how it is, Vince. When we come back and we get together, seeing each other, it brings back memories. It brings back memories, And people ask me all the time. They said, Jackie, you're never won a championship with the Rams. Would you rather have played with a team that won a couple of Super Bowls like the Patriots or somebody like that? And I said, no, absolutely not, because I would not replace the relationships that I have with those men that you just saw, the fun that we had growing up together and everything. It was just a fantastic situation, and I played with those guys, and guys like them for the better part of 2 decades. It was just unbelievable experience.
Yeah, the camaraderie that you develop between players and lifetime friends that you
Absolutely.
have, Jackie. I mean, there was no substitute for that.
No substitute
and
whatsoever.
that was so great. So I think that's what the Rams are trying to learn now, Jackie, as they build their team for the playoffs. But as we look at the preseason game, we have to reflect back on the last game they played against the Browns.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they traveled to Cleveland. They lost that game late in the game on a few penalties that went against them. But there's a few takeaways in that game, and I like Shedeur Sanders as a quarterback. I think he had a rough time.
You've always said that. You've always said that.
It was halftime, and the Rams were, trying to catch up. And I said, Shedeur Sanders is going to come out and blow it up. He's going to have a great second half. And it was dismal. He didn't have any protection, Jackie. So, as a quarterback, you got to be able to stand in the pocket just for at least a second and throw the ball. He couldn't even stand there.
It's amazing that I'm listening to you say this, and most of the time you're talking about the great wide receivers and the play calling and putting you in a situation to make this dart of a pass or that loft of a pass. But the one thing that you inevitably have to come back to is the protection. Vince, if no one is protecting you, my friend, you will admit that you are going to have a rough day. Just think about this. Now, I've been watching Shedeur Sanders, and I think he has the mental toughness that I would enjoy working with as a quarterback. He was criticized for the way he approached his head coach at the end of that game when he wanted to go back into the game to prove that he could pull this thing out, and the coach did not send him back in. Now, I don't know why he didn't do that, but what we saw when he was in there, we saw him get sacked 5 times. And this was not the Rams' starting pass rush group. This was just some guys, just filling out the time and finishing in the game. He got sacked 5 times, Vince. And the other thing about that is that on the final cut, that team cut 4 of those offensive linemen. They were on the field with him when he had those 5 sacks.
Yeah.
So the mere fact that he wanted to get back into the game and then have an opportunity to pull it out with that group of offensive linemen says a lot about his toughness. It says a lot about his resolve to want to be the best quarterback that team has. Unfortunately, you can't pair great resolve and great talent at that position with a poor offensive line.
Well, he really needed it, and I think his intention was to go out and redeem himself. Okay, he wanted to get back in the game. That's the competitor he is. Okay? That's what I like about him.
I like that too.
Yes.
I like that. Love that.
He's trying to the end. But then again, coming off his oblique injury that he suffered a couple weeks prior, and I think the coach Stefanski was thinking for the future. He was down the road. I'll put Tyler Huntley in there, who they later cut, but he actually led the team down there. And
they later cut him.
With the help of three defensive penalties, they kicked the winning field goal. But it's a preseason game, and I think at this point, it was pretty recognizable that there was no offensive line to protect the quarterback.
I think so.
Let me get Shedeur out of there because when you look at the 3 games that they played, he still had the better statistics.
He did.
Okay, he had the 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, something like that. But he was very steady. Okay, I think now that the team has decided on the quarterbacks. They're going to go with Joe Flacco. They did trade Kenny Pickett because I think they saw what Shedeur Sanders can do. So now they traded Kenny Pickett to the Raiders. So we'll see what happens because I thought Kenny was a really good quarterback as well. So, but that's the nature of the game. Some of these guys are going to make it, some aren't. Some are make the practice field. So the Rams looking forward. They got a game in 2 weeks against the Texans. The Texans also had a pretty good preseason. They looked pretty sharp. C.J. Stroud, I mean,
he's a
D'Amico
good
Ryans,
quarterback.
he's got that team on the move. So, I mean, it'll be a contest.
They bolstered their offensive line by signing Lakin Tomlinson,
That's right.
the great left guard, to play along next to a rookie left tackle that they have, who's then it's really going to make a huge difference for that young tackle to have a solid veteran playing right next to him. So they made some moves with that team that I really like down in Houston.
I think some teams are accelerating their recovery and getting better. Some teams are staying the same. Some teams are declining. There's teams that we've seen. We'll get into that a little bit later. But I think that let's talk about the Chargers, how they're doing. I mean, they had their last game against the 49ers. They didn't come out on top. But, again, Justin Herbert did not play in this game, but he's played some in the preseason, which he's getting ready. I think he'll be ready. He's a top-notch quarterback. Mm-hmm. But, they had some issues.
Yeah,
they had a few issues.
They did, Vince. And I know you are you're a little bit different than I am about Greg Roman, their offensive coordinator in particular. I saw Trey Lance play in that game, and I know how you feel about Trey Lance. But Trey Lance, in my opinion, he played a really good ball game. I mean, one of the things that Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator, has had and proven that he's capable of initiating and putting into place is the use of the read option game with a running athletic quarterback. Now, when you looked at Trey Lance, he didn't just sit in the pocket and orchestrate the offense and make all kinds of throws there. No, he didn't. But what he did do was he had some read option runs that were quite impactful that I'm not even sure Justin Herbert could run those type of things. So what I think, even though I know how you feel about Greg Roman and the defensive coordinator, I think that Trey Lance, for Greg Roman, allows Greg Roman to do the things that he did with Lamar Jackson as he won 2 MVP awards over at the Baltimore Ravens. Now, we know that their quarterback is Justin Herbert. He's thrown for more yards than any quarterback in NFL history over that same period of time. But suppose he gets hurt. Or suppose you want to change it up for a gullible defense that allows you to use the read option game. In my opinion, Greg Roman knows how to dial that up, and Trey Lance knows how to run it. I like the combination of he and Justin Herbert on that Charger football team, and I also like the fact that their defensive pass rush is not going to fall off, even though Joey Bosa is not there anymore. Yeah. Because Khalil Mack and Tui Polado, the kid from USC, great edge rushers. So that's my take on the Chargers. I think they're heading in the right direction.
They got a big offensive lineman, too, from the Philadelphia Eagles, who's going to help. Didn't play in the preseason, but, yeah, they're going to be strong up front. Jim Harbaugh knows the secret. He has a secret sauce, I think, doesn't he, Jackie?
Yes.
He knows a little bit about quarterbacks, but I'm just not a big fan of his coordinators, Jesse Minter and also Greg Roman. I've seen some errors in the preseason which are uncalled for. They should never have been called, but, that's the way it goes. Trey Lance, he's had a couple pitfalls, along the way, the 49ers and the Cowboys. I wasn't totally impressed. It's the awareness. It's the awareness system about being able to collaborate with your entire team and be able to focus and have a space focus as well as a fine focus, Jackie. And I think there's just something lacking there, in my opinion, but we'll see. If he's going to be a backup, maybe he'll just take him more time to learn a little bit more about the game.
And can you see them bringing him onto the field for maybe 5 to 6 snaps during a game, taking Justin Herbert out? And then all of a sudden you got 10, 12, 15-yard chunks on his legs alone, and maybe even with his arm. Well, can you see that?
That's possible. That's possible. You know what a team that's going to do that this year is Seattle. Okay, they have Sam Darnold at quarterback, and they got Milroe, from Alabama. They're going to put him at the goal line in the red zone.
Yeah, they've said that.
Yeah, and they're going to have a system, a separate system for him with certain plays that he can execute. Yeah. Okay, and I think that's smart.
Yeah, but how smart is it for you to make that announcement? Announcement,
it's coming
before your opponents. Before you even play anyone, you go there and they're going to be looking for it.
Well, they'll look for it, but they're not going to know what's coming at what's going to hit them.
Maybe not, but they'll look and see what his best plays were when he was playing regularly, and they'll prepare for those.
Well, there's a lot of other teams we need to talk about here in the preseason, Jackie. Some teams that have winning that looked like they won in preseason, some that lost, some that just didn't move one way or the other. So we'll get into that next when we come back. But we want to remind all of our viewers that, this is On Point Live. Make sure you visit our website, onpointlive.net. Go to harmonycheese.com, Jackie, because they have the best cheese without a doubt.
How about the six-pepper cheddar?
That's what I was thinking.
The six-pepper cheddar.
And the Ebergelli?
Yes, I had some cheese toast with six-pepper cheddar just yesterday.
So you can't miss out on that stuff, Jackie.
No,
so harmonycheese.com, don't forget. And we'll be right back with On Point Live, more with the NFL. Well, welcome back to On Point Live right here at the CRN studios in Los Angeles. Jackie, a few weeks ago during preseason, you had a chance to go to the Canton Hall of Fame game.
Absolutely.
And talk to a lot of the former Hall of Fame players. What was that like? It must have been a great time.
It was fantastic, man. You see guys that you were, idolized when you were a kid, Larry Little and guys you played against like Mean Joe Green. And just to see all of these wonderful, outstanding guys that have set themselves apart in the game that you and I love, Vince, it's just, I'm like a fan every time I go there. It's not like I'm being celebrated. I don't go there to get celebrated. I go there to enjoy. Here's a picture here of Mike Munchak, two of my classmates, Mike Munchak, who used to be the head coach, but he was an offensive guard with Houston for a long time. And we had the unbelievable pleasure of helping to celebrate another one of my classmates, Marv Levy's 100th birthday. He's 100 years old, Vince, and you couldn't, he is still full of what do you call it, piss and vinegar? I'm telling you, man.
He's so sharp, Jackie. I had dinner with him once in Chicago.
He is
so intelligent.
Unbelievable.
And what a great personality he has to be a coach.
I
That's
think
how he
about
made the Hall of Fame.
And then there was Jared Allen there. This guy, you remember him? He'd sack a quarterback, and then he'd simulate tying up a calf in a calf roping event. And his daddy presented him. And then I always have to go by and check and see that they move my head out of there, and you can see me. You can see me.
That's the whole class. You guys had seven inductees that year.
We had 7 guys. Nick Buoniconti, Ron Yerry from USC, Lynn Swan, the great one, Nick Buoniconti, Jack Youngblood, my old teammate, myself, and then Chuck Muncie. We had a big class, but boy, we had a good time when we all went in, and it's always a pleasure seeing each other. There was Mr. Allen there. He was an outstanding pass
Eric
rusher.
Allen too. This was the new guys, the new inductees.
Great cover guy right there. And then Antonio Gates, the special tight end that played with the Chargers. And, of course, Sterling Sharp. This was the first. Sterling Sharp's brother, Shannon, is already in the Hall of Fame, and they became the first brothers to actually be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And I was honored to be able to be there and to see that and to watch them enjoy that together as a family. It was a great, great weekend.
Well, that's an annual event that you get to go to each year to enjoy the festivities, but also meet the new inductees, Jackie. And I know you have a lot to do and say about that kind of stuff. But these are the epitome of the players that not only are they great football players, they're great people in general, and they just have a great disposition.
Vince, I could probably almost count on 2 fingers, and I will say this, on 2 fingers, the number of guys who show up there every year who are not impressed with the individuals that are coming in. That's and I say 2-3 people because I can think of a couple of guys whose egos are just as big as this building we're sitting in, and they think that they are the best, and nobody should even be in the class other than them. There should be a different class of Hall of Famer for them. And there are a couple of guys like that, and you appreciate them for having that kind of confidence. You don't appreciate why they have it, but confidence is a good thing in a certain position. But the reality of it all is most of the men that are in the Pro Football Hall of Fame that I've interacted with, they are as big a fan of the new inductees and of the old inductees as anybody in the country. They just so appreciate one another.
Well, Jackie, it's funny because you talked about controlling your emotions, and in football, that's part of the game, and that's one of the most vital aspects that you have to have. But, we've seen some of these players react differently to the fans and some of the signs they show in the stadium. Like, a fan is a fanatic, okay? He's entitled to do whatever he wants, but don't let it get to you, because we're talking about Geno Smith. Okay, there was a sign that said, bigger bust? Is it Geno or Jamarcus Russell? And he had a reaction which wasn't really taken very well.
You got to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, exactly.
Take it with a grain of salt.
I mean, come on.
Listen. There's nobody that's ever been insulted more than me.
Yeah, what happened?
We went to San Francisco.
Okay.
And this is towards the end of my career, and I needed to gain weight. I needed to get bigger. So, I have a tendency to gain most of my weight right through the midsection right through here. And so I never will forget, the 49ers were beating us, and we had to go off the field, and this guy stood up, and he cupped his hands like this, and he goes, "Hey, Slater, can you do one sit-up?" Man, they had to hold me back. I was getting ready to go get it again.
Control your emotions.
Well, I had to control my emotions.
Just let it go. Let it go.
When I looked up there and I saw the people around him laughing the way they were, with the way I looked at the time, it had to have been the highlight of them ever attending a 49er game.
Hey, all Geno had to say is, "I'm laughing all the way to the bank."
That's all he had to say.
Who cares? Come on. Anyway, so we have to talk a little bit about the big winners here in preseason as we approach the 2025 season. I think one of them that stands out to me, and I saw them in preseason, were the Kansas City Chiefs.
Absolutely.
Jackie. I mean, they have the same coaching staff. They've been in place for
staff.
so long. The great quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. But I saw one thing from him, Jackie, and I'll let you go talk more about the rest of the guys. But he had this intention that he had to come back and redeem himself. He was going to come back after that Super Bowl loss last year with more fire, more work ethic, more camaraderie.
No, you're talking about Patrick Mahomes.
I'm talking about Patrick, but it rubbed off in the entire team because Shahid Rice is coming up. Their tight end, Travis Kelce. I mean, these guys are all committed. They come with the intention to camp, to train hard, forget what's happened in the past, and we're going to shoot for the top.
Travis Kelce has already gone on record and said he can't go out that way.
That's right.
He can't go out that way.
So what did he do?
Well,
he announced
Well, he got engaged for one thing. I mean, that ain't the worst thing that can happen.
You know what? Hey, now you got that out of the way. So now there's no more question. Now you can concentrate on football.
Now you can concentrate on football. But one of the things that Vince, just think about this. I mean, we're talking about one of the top, if not the top quarterback in all of pro football, and he played in the game. You see,
yes,
he played in the game.
In the preseason games.
In the preseason game when it doesn't matter. No. It's all about timing. It's all
preparation.
It's all about developing continuity with your players.
That's right.
And that's a priority for he and Andy Reid, two of the winningest personalities in all of pro football at their respective positions in the National Football League. And they see the importance of him not being protected and coddled, but having an opportunity to get on the field and lead his team and to show everybody that, hey, we're all in. We're working to get this accomplished this year. Yep. We should have gotten it accomplished perhaps a year ago. We missed the opportunity for a three-peat, but I'd be doggone if we don't put the effort in to try to get 3 out of 4. And that's what I saw when I saw Andy Reid and his outfit.
It starts at the top and it trickles down, Jackie. And that's where it starts with Andy Reid.
Absolutely.
Starts with Patrick Mahomes and all the way down the line. Okay, the other team that looked really good was undefeated in preseason with the Ravens, and they didn't even play Lamar Jackson. Expand upon that.
Well, Todd Monken, that offensive coordinator, one of the things that you and I have always said is that Todd Monken has helped Lamar develop more of a pocket passer. Mm-hmm. I mean, he can take off, he can scramble. They do have a design run or two here and there for him, but this guy has improved leaps and bounds as a pocket passer. Now, I always give guys a hard time for not playing their starters in the preseason to get used to the rigors of the sport. If I were to ever make an exception to that rule, it would be Lamar Jackson.
Correct.
Because one of the big things, and he's a 2-time MVP, Vince, but one of the big knocks against Lamar Jackson is that he has a tendency to falter or to weaken or to not deliver once they get into the playoffs. And a lot of people have speculated that Lamar Jackson, when you factor in his passing, his running and scrambling and all of that work, that when he gets to the end of the season, he's quite frankly just worn out. And so it seemed to me that not playing him might be a smart thing because A 200-pound man is not made to be taking all of these big shots in the National Football League, and maybe this is a very smart move for him because we know he's going to run and throw the football as well as anybody in the game.
It's a great point. A great point. I don't think it's ever been mentioned before, but Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson have a great relationship. Okay, they understand one another. Todd is very intuitive. He explains everything to Lamar and the course of action they're going to take. And what the explanation was, we're going to find the reliable players that will step in when I'm going to rest you late in the season. And they hopefully will be in a position that have already secured the playoffs, and they're going to get Lamar Jackson ready for another start of a season, and it's going to be the playoff season.
That appears to be the goal this season.
That's what's going to happen.
They want him fresh for the latter part of the latter quarter of the season.
That's the only thing that's holding him back from being the epitome of accomplishing everything in the NFL. He needs to go to the Super Bowl. Okay, and so that can happen, and the only guy that can deliver for him as a coach would be Todd Monken, and he understands. And I think that's what they're doing there. So we'll see what happens during the course. Hey, another team that was very sharp this year too, were the Giants.
Yes.
Okay, the Giants. And I have to comment about Jackson Dart. We were very high on him coming out of the draft. He's looked excellent. Jackie, the main thing about him, he's very much like Bo Nix and Justin Herbert. He has a 3.71 GPA.
So
he was the SEC honor roll.
Sharp guy.
Sharp guy, Jackie, but very astute. Timing is prolific. I mean, he really understands how to throw the ball. He can move if he has to. I mean, I see this guy being the limit. But Russell Wilson is the starter and the incumbent starter, just like Joe Flacco is with Shedeur Sanders.
And that's just
and we'll
a
see
matter
what
of
happens.
time. I think we know that
happen.
that's just a matter of time. The other thing they did was they added Abdul Carter.
Oh gosh.
They already had
from Penn State.
They already had an excellent defensive front. They already had a great ability to put schematically pressure on quarterbacks. Now you add an individual like this who's clearly able to defeat one-on-one pass blockers. It just makes them a more dynamic team, in my opinion. And you're going to start with Russell. There's no doubt about it. But what that does, it gives an opportunity for them to ease their talented young players in position. Not that Russell can't do some special things, but this guy is pretty unique. We both agreed to that.
And I was impressed with the Titans a little bit this year with Cam Ward. I mean, I love his personality as a quarterback. Jackie, he's very easygoing. Mm-hmm. Nothing really seems to bother him. He gets out of trouble if he has to. He makes plays when the time comes.
He has an elite arm.
He does, and he is a good leader. So I think the Titans have looked pretty good in preseason. The other team, of course, are the Texans with C.J. Stroud, DeMeco Ryans. I mean, they, like you said earlier, they've added a lot of good offensive linemen to help that team out. But they will be probably a playoff team this year as well. So, I mean, some teams didn't do so well, Jackie, and I have to start with that one, all right?
Yeah, well, that was one of the things I wanted to ask you because I know how you are when you look at teams, and for a lot of different reasons, you make your decisions about whether they're good or bad.
And I base it a lot on coaching, Jackie, because I look at the Detroit Lions. Okay?
Oh, my goodness.
They lost 3 games. They won 1. They lost 3.
Vince, how many coaches did they lose from last year?
They lost 8.
8 coaches.
8 coaches, their offense and defensive coordinator, and I think it's
they had 2 guys that go on to become head coaches, right?
Right. Yeah.
The defensive coordinator.
Right. Aaron Glenn and then Ben Johnson. Yeah. And Ben's doing a great job with the Bears, and the Bears were another undefeated team as well. So, I mean, that's what's happening, and I think they're going to. And they were predicted to be a really good team this year. So we'll see. But anyway. You'll have to continue to listen to On Point Live with Vince and Jackie. We still have some few things to cover, some funny things coming up that you don't want to miss. But watch us on onpointlive.net. Make sure you visit the website and Instagram. Our Instagram is on.point.live, Jackie. So don't forget to follow us there. And harmonycheese.com. How could you forget the great cheeses that we have, Jackie?
I mean, and try the Ambergelli.
And the 6 pepper cheddar.
Yeah,
don't forget.
Cheddar.
All right, we'll be right back with On Point Live right after this. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to On Point Live with Vince and Jackie. We're here to talk about the preseason, Jackie. And, this is a time to, when you have all these veterans want more money. Can you believe what they're asking for? They're hold-ins instead of holding out. They're staying in camp.
Holding in.
And they're getting paid.
Getting paid.
Can you imagine some of these contracts that they're signing, the guaranteed money?
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And you know what? The wide receiver position is the one that's taking it. I mean, I never thought I'd live to see the day that I'd see a wide receiver be more coveted than a great running back in the NFL.
They're making more money.
Can you name a wide receiver that played when Jim Brown was playing? Can you name a wide receiver that played when
the game has changed? It's more wide open. It's passing. It's the flag football.
It's unbelievable, and I can't belittle because I guess they do take some wicked shots, and they have to. It's tough defending these guys and all, and people want to see it. They want to see the big play down the field. So I guess you pay for what you get.
Well, Terry McLaurin has been a player they've been missing with the Commanders. Okay, he just signed $96 million, Jackie, $60 million guaranteed.
Unbelievable. And if anybody, the guy's had 5 straight years over 1,000 yards receiving, and I don't think
he's valuable.
And I don't think he had the same quarterback for 2 years in a row.
Right.
So he's proven that he is a competent player, and he was a huge asset to the young quarterback that made Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels, from them last year.
Jaden is the happiest guy in camp.
He's the happiest guy in camp.
How about Trey Hendrickson for the Cincinnati Bengals, Jackie?
Well,
he just made $30 million for 1 year contract.
Absolutely, and 1 year is a lot of long-term security right there. But who knows? He could jackpot if the guy leads the league in sacks again for the 3rd year in a row. I mean, he jackpots to maybe a 2-year.
James Cook.
Who knows what he made?
James Cook made $12 million a year.
Yeah,
he just got a bump in his pay.
Amazing.
How about Dan Campbell? He's insisting that the NFL change the rule. Their mascot, they want to put a real lion on the field, Jackie, as their man run on the field and fall.
I don't know about that because those lions have predatory instincts that I don't think that ever goes away. And some little dainty little pork chop start running across the field in front of him. Who's going to hold a lion back? Who's going to hold a lion back? Where did he get that idea?
I don't know.
That is one of the most ridiculous.
Yeah. Maybe he wants to turn that lion loose on his opponent, so maybe
one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard.
Hey, we want our viewers, though, we want to hear from you. Email us at onpoint@crntalk.com. We have some great giveaways. We've got an appliance from Universal Appliances. Please email us. Give us your thoughts. What do you think about the Lions here on the field? We'll be back. What do we say, Jackie? Stay on point.